All right. Good day, everyone. I am Travis Giffen, the Assistant Director of Online Programs. Thank you all for joining us for a student and alumni panel this evening. We have Dr. Marley Bunch with us here and Stacy Hitico. I hope I pronounced your name right. I'll give you both a chance to introduce yourselves momentarily. Just want to give everybody a little bit of an outline of what we'll do for this evening. So in this panel, I'll have 3 questions for both our panelists catered around their student experience, and then we will pause and give everyone a chance to ask questions to both of our panelists about their student experiences, and then we're going to move on to a more career-focused portion. And I have 2 questions for both of them, and then we will open things up again to everybody here. Everybody who's already here with us, please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. Go ahead and say hello. I ask that you keep your Zoom muted until we get to the Q&A portion. We have a good enough group here. You can either type your Q&As in the chat, and I'm happy to read them out for you, or I can call on folks and let them ask their question live. And with that, I'm going to let Dr. Bunch introduce yourself briefly.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Marley Bunch, and I am an alumni of the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I graduated in December of 2022. I'm happy to be here with all of you.
And Stacy, could you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Stacy Hitico. You were pretty close, Travis. Not far off. I am a current student in my master's degree at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign.
Thank you. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first question that we have for this evening. So the first question that I have for you both, we'll go in the same order that we introduced you both in, is what were you doing before you started your program? And could you add what program it is that you did?
Absolutely. Yep. I was a part of the EPOL program, which stands for the Education Policy Organization Leadership. And I did a concentration in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and completed my EDD in that program. And before that program, I was actually a high school English teacher, teaching high school, which I had done for about 17 years. And then COVID hit, and my district was one of the only districts actually in the state that did not shut down for COVID at the very beginning when everyone else did. And I've got a high-risk family member in the home. And so I had to actually, that kind of forced me out of the classroom. And so I figured while I was recalibrating and deciding kind of next steps that I would enroll and work on my EDD.
Thank you. I know it's a similar journey that lots of people had at that point in time. Life gets upended and took advantage and went back to school. Stacy, could you answer the question too?
Yeah, somewhat similar path to Dr. Bunch there. I had previously been in IT and training for a very long time. And my company, right at the height of the pandemic, the owner sold right before everything went in March. And so we were getting ready to disassemble in January. And so pandemic hit. I am unemployed. And I thought, besides IT, I also was head of training for our company. And I did not want to pursue the IT path anymore. Nobody calls you just to say everything's great with my printer. It's a role that a lot of people complain. So I wanted to get into something more on the training side. I enjoyed that anyway. And I went and did my first certificate with U of I, the Master Track program. And from there went on to get my position with Yahoo.
Thank you. And we'll have more questions for you about your career and stuff in a bit. So back to Dr. Bunch, why did you choose the program that you chose?
I knew that the University of Illinois was ranked high. I knew that it was known for being a fantastic institution. And so that was really important to me. I'm actually located in Kansas City, Missouri. So the fact that it offered a remote option was really important to me, especially during the pandemic. And I had done my master's in Chicago at DePaul University. And so it was kind of important to me to kind of circle back around to an Illinois school. So,
Well, we're glad that you did. And Stacy, why did you choose the instructional design master track program and then the master's program that you're in now?
Yeah, I had looked around. It's really hard, especially with what I do, to have a portfolio, so to speak. A lot of information is proprietary to the organizations, and you really can't show what you do. So trainings and things that I created, I did not really have a portfolio, and the Master Track program was geared towards actually getting me ready with a portfolio. So that was very appealing to me. It was online. It was something that I could do at my own pace. I was very familiar with U of I anyway. My son graduated from there, my daughter from DePaul. So again, Dr. Bunch, we have a lot in common. But I had already known the school, the rigor, everything about the school. And I loved the school as far as especially the educational department. So it was just an easy fit for me.
Thank you. It's glad to hear that. It's nice when, I find a lot of times on these panels, there's ends up being some overlap between folks. So it's nice in small worlds sometimes. So for both of you, what advice would you have for other, current students or people that are considering, any of the programs that you both are in or took?
I want to mention before I forget, and then I'll talk about advice, but while I was in my program, you can actually go through that EDD program and get certifications along the way, which is really kind of a unique thing. So even though my concentration was in diversity, equity, and inclusion, if you do certain amount of hours in different areas, you can get certifications. So in addition to my EDD, I walked away with some certifications. So that was a great benefit as well. And as far as advice, I would say to find your people. I think that's what I really appreciate most about the University of Illinois. I have met my lifetime mentor now and incredible role models who just really were supportive along the way. And so I think even in a remote setting, if you can find ways to connect with professors and colleagues and fellow classmates, I think that is one of the biggest benefits. So I would definitely encourage everyone to do that, and also to be creative in how you kind of approach your specific program. Sometimes you can cater things to your specific needs. So it's just a matter of asking those questions. So I would say find your people and ask all the questions.
Thank you. Stacy, what advice would you have?
I personally wanted a challenge. I wanted something that was going to allow me to grow and to push me to learn outside of the realm of what I was used to. And I think looking at the program and the curriculum we went through, it definitely did that. The networking was invaluable to me. I have quite a few people now that I can bounce ideas off of in the industry I'm working in, the field I'm working in. And same thing with, it was great watching the professors complete the works that they were doing. For example, Dr. Huang was one of the professors that I had, and as innovative I thought it was at the time with AR and VR, creating archaeology digs for students that can't travel but can actually practice being on a dig, and talking to him in class about that program. It was a great fit to hear from people that are doing work that is creative and innovative and challenging.
Great to hear. Thank you. And now we're going to pause and open up for some questions from everybody who's joined us this evening about their student experiences, about the programs that both of our panelists are in. If you have questions about other programs, they might have some insights that they could share from other classmates that they've had. But I'm also here to answer questions. We have a couple other people from College of Education that might step in. Yeah, I see we have a hand raised. You go ahead and unmute yourself. If you want to briefly tell us who you are and go ahead and ask your question.
I'm not sure, Travis, if you were speaking to me or not. However, I do have a question for Dr. Bunch. I am currently in the ePulse program as well, and mine is with Learning Design and Leadership with a certification in the instructional design as well. How many certifications did you come out with during your program, or how many did you find that you were able to juggle at one time?
That's a great question, and you're in a great program, so that's exciting.
Thank you.
I was planning on doing 2 certificates and only ended up doing 1 because it would have thrown my graduation date and my dates to defend just a bit. But I think it's totally feasible to do 2. And then I took summer courses, which was really helpful. And so I would say, especially in that program, if you can take some summer courses, do it, because it's just a great way to kind of spread out those courses and also kind of be ahead of the game a little bit as far as credit hours.
So what did you come out with when you were completely done?
Yeah, so I had my doctoral degree, EDD and EPOL, and then I had a certificate in addition to my concentration in diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay.
Which, you know, that's such a kind of a thing now that everyone is looking for, that equity piece. And so it's been really valuable, and I would definitely say one worth considering.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. And
Hi,
then, yep,
can I?
go ahead.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Yuthika. I'm originally from India, but I'm working in Savannah. Now I have a design background. I have done a lot of design, and now I want to apply for a PhD in education. Now my main question is, how important is the background experience? Like, somebody has done an ED, somebody has done a master, somebody has teaching experience. So how important is that? That's my first question.
I don't know
Hello.
who that question was for. Can I just ask a
Yes,
clarifying question? When you say
yes,
how
ma'am.
important, do you mean how important when you're applying to the program? How important when you're looking for jobs? Can you just clarify that?
How important, as in, like, does that neglify my application since I don't have teaching experience or any experience in education?
Travis,
I
you.
I was going to say I can take this one because I don't have a teaching degree either.
Okay.
You know, actually my my undergrad degree is in psychology and art. I've done a
Okay.
lot of design. I've done website design. I've ran businesses for that. And I find that I do have to study a little bit more on educational theories and psychologies, but that's just part of my learning. It fits hand in hand with what I do as an instructional designer anyway. And so I personally, I didn't have it. I don't think it is necessary as long as you have some realm of,
Okay.
you know,
And
educational background.
my second question is it paid, and do I need a GRE for a PhD in education?
So I can jump in on that, educate on that question. So for our EDD program, so we don't have an online PhD program, but for the EDD program, which is at the doctoral level, the GRE is not required, and then it's not paid.
No, for the PhD, in on ground, is it paid? Do I get a stipend, or do I have to pay it for it myself?
If you have questions about the PhD program, I'm going to put an email address in the chat, and we can follow up and answer those questions better for you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
And then Mary, I see that you have your hand raised, but I'm going to ask a question that was here in the chat too, that came in just a little bit before you. So we have a new EDD student who asked how long it took Dr. Bunch to finish their program.
It took me 2 years and 4 months, but I was insane and took crazy hours in the summer, full-time hours. Like I don't know that I would recommend it. I recommend that to anyone. I think pandemic helped in that sense because I had the time to do it. But yeah, it was a lot.
That's 2 years is really fat. That's a lot. I think most people it's about 5. It's about the time that they take to finish their EDE, but 2 years certainly squeezed a lot in. And then Mary, you were up next.
Hi, everybody. I'm also in the EPOL LDL Master's Program, and I was wondering who I would talk to about adding the learning design. Oh, wait, now I can't remember I'm interested in becoming an instructional designer. So Stacy, I'm happy to hear that that's what you do. I'm a current first grade teacher now, so I know that there's some certifications that I would need in order to have more success in applying for those roles. So how do I go about adding the certifications that I need? Like, who do I need to speak to about that?
Are you looking for the leadership development, that concentration, learning development and leadership?
Sorry, I can't tell who's speaking. I think so. I'm in the LDL Master's Program now. I can't remember the name of the certification. It was whoever was speaking before me just said it, who's also in the EPOL program. I don't remember who it was.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, hi, everybody. I'm Sangeeta Gopalakrishnan, and I head online programs here in the College of Education. I'm so happy to see such a great turnout. I wonder if I could take a shot at answering Mary's question. It sounds like you may be interested in the Instructional Design Master Track Certificate program. Yes. So we will drop a link in the chat here, and then you can look it up. But that's the program that I believe Stacy completed, the Instructional Design Master Track Certificate program.
Thank you.
And it is a certificate rather than a certification. So I'll put the link in the chat.
Thanks, Sangeeta. But yeah, so Mary, if you're interested in learning more about those programs and what's available to you as a current student, our online student advisor, Brianna Davis, she's in the chat. Her email is bmdavis2@illinois.edu. If you send her an email, she can work with you and schedule an appointment with you to help sort that out for you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. I saw that you answered this in the chat already, but for folks who might be watching this back later, there was a question, Dr. Bunch, did you have a teaching degree already?
I did. Yep. I had an MED from DePaul, a master's in education. And then I also have a master's in science in gifted education, and then an ESL certification and a gifted certification. And I'm endorsed for social studies and English lit. And I love that it was just pointed out the difference between certificate and certification, I think is really important. Usually a certification requires that there's some state exam that you take, like so for ELL to have that certification, you actually have to take an exam at the state level that then says yes, you're certified, whereas a certificate might just be like an HR like SHRM certificate or something that says you've received content in an area. So those are the two differences. Thank you.
Thanks for that adding that distinction. Any other questions? Otherwise, we can move on to the next portion here. And I did get the link. I saw, Sangeeta, you added the link to all of our certificate programs, and I also just put a link in there directly for the Master Track program, instructional design for folks if they're interested in that. And I should add, if you have any questions that don't get answered, or you're watching this back later and you have questions, you can reach out to us at online programs at education.illinois.edu. And we're happy to follow up with you, answer any of those questions that you might have that didn't get answered, or that you think if you're watching this back later. So with that, and again, if folks think of other questions, they can still ask those questions in the second Q&A portion. But we're going to move into more of the career focus, and I have two questions to kick things off for both of our panelists. We'll go in the reverse order this time. So we'll start with Stacy first time. Could you share a little bit about what it is that you're currently doing in your career?
Yeah, my official title is I am a senior instructional designer and program manager for global training and content for Yahoo. Yahoo, we have about 13 brands underneath us. We actually still, AOL is still a thing and we own it. So the whole You've Got Mail, it's still around. So that's one of our brands. That's one of our bigger brands that I work with. And then Yahoo itself. So Yahoo Mail, finance, fantasy, news, sports, all of that. TechCrunch is one of our companies and Gadget's one of our companies. So there's quite a lot there. And being a senior instructional designer for training and content, I am in charge of program manager for all of technical support for training for Yahoo. But when it comes to instructional design, I design all of the content for our call center agents that do technical support for when you call in. I do travel quite often globally to our call centers. And I work with a team of about 12 other instructional designers that all work on all the facets that I mentioned are part of the Yahoo brand.
Thank you. It's very exciting. The background's very fitting, being with Yahoo, so nice touch. Dr. Bunch, could you share a bit about what it is that you're doing?
Mine is less exciting, but I will share because I think it's a real part kind of that journey. I think the career piece for me has been interesting since graduation. So I am working on 2 manuscripts that are both forthcoming publications on university presses. So that's exciting. One of which is Teachers College Press, and it's a teaching guidebook. So I'm excited about that. And then the career piece is waiting. I think if you're applying for higher education positions, there's lots of waiting, which I'm not so good at. So associate professor of secondary education, I applied for a position and they won't announce or start interviewing until winter. And then of course your appointment, if you get a higher ed position, is usually like in the fall, so August 2024. And then I also am considering a position designing curriculum at Southern Poverty Law Center, if anyone's familiar with SPLC. So I'm kind of in the waiting zone with those things.
Hey, but you got, I'm sure, plenty to keep you busy with the manuscripts. But yeah, it's always good to have those great prospects on the horizon. So very exciting. What advice would you give to current students or individuals that are looking at programs to keep in mind as they, get into their program, complete their program, and potentially move into a field similar to what you're doing?
So for me, one of the biggest things that is inundating our field right now is AI. And so anything that you can learn in terms of AI integration with tech, especially with instructional design, our analytics are now being AI driven. Gamification is being AI driven. So that is the total future of where everything is going. My company itself, we're a tech company. So definitely start learning as much as you can, get on that bandwagon. AI is actually the worst it's ever going to be now because it's just going to grow. So it's a good time to start. That being said, also constant learning. There is no way you cannot stop learning if you are instructing others in learning. So you have to have a passion for it. If not, get that passion, find it. But attend as many, conferences, webinars, meetings, things like that to find out what other companies are doing, what the industry is doing, ways that you can constantly improve things for your learners or your audience. I constantly travel to webinars and attend webinars or conferences to keep up on my skills. I would also say software that Articulate is the end all be all right now in instructional design. So any of the Articulate programs are big, any of the Adobe programs. It does help if you know some graphic design work, because you are pretty much doing all your own designing. For me, one of my other facets of my job is I write all of the help content for the Yahoo website. So HTML coding is also necessary in what I do.
Thank you for sharing. And yeah, I think AI is on the front of a lot of people's minds lately, even all the way in education. And I think I haven't talked to a single friend anywhere that hasn't come up in some capacity. Dr. Bunch.
I would echo a lot of what was just shared. Definitely continuing your own learning. I think that that's really important, especially I think for everyone, but for educators. I think a lot of times if we've been in the classroom for a while, we feel as though we're experts in our field and our content area. So I would just encourage you to always push and continue to unlearn and relearn things. Cultural competence, we know right now in the classroom and in education, is incredibly imperative. And so I would encourage you to, if your content area or your concentration is not equity, I would encourage you to take some coursework that engages that and helps grow that cultural competence so that you can bring that back to your communities and students. I'm going to drop a link in the chat, but I know U of I offers amazing things. We have Teach, which is for equitable Asian American education. And I've been privileged to, last summer, they had a learning seminar. And so I would look for things like that I think will be coming this summer in 2024 again. So look for things like that, because that's free and you have these incredible experts leading that information. Also, U of I does excellent webinars, excellent webinars, and brings in amazing speakers. So I would echo that as well, to look for those, actually read those emails that come out, because some of those speakers are just phenomenal. And then lastly, I would say to look for fellowships and internship opportunities, because again, those are additional ways to get to know people at U of I and other institutions and organizations.
Thank you. And with that, we already got one question as we're getting ready to open up to Q&A for everybody else. So first question that we got in here was, what kind of network opportunities did anybody take advantage of considering the online nature of the program? So I'll open that up to both of you, and then I have a piece that I'll also toss in there too. Susie.
Yeah. As far as networking goes, I attend as much as I can that is structured for online, but a lot of my networking actually happens within my classes. A lot of the classroom work is group projects. So you are working with different people most of the time, and you have breakout rooms that are with different people a lot. So it's a great way to reach out and get to know others that maybe in a field that you want to go into, or that's doing what you do, and you have that list of people that you are attending that class with. And I personally have done things outside of that. I've connected with people through LinkedIn and continue to maintain some networking avenues through that as well. And one other thing real quick to the last point, though, I wanted to bring up, especially Mary, you were talking about transitioning from elementary school into ID. Adult learning theory is something to focus on. It is a different animal going to train adults in a corporate environment than it is in a classroom with elementary kids. So if you are going to be looking to transition, I would start looking at adult learning and adult learning theories.
Again, I would echo what Stacy said. I think the courses are set up so that even in a remote setting, you can connect and easily meet other people in breakout rooms. If you hear of a colleague or a classmate doing something that aligns with your interest, I think it's completely acceptable to reach out to them via email or in the chat and see if they want to connect or talk through ways that you're thinking might be able to benefit each other. And then I know Dr. Sharon Lee, who is an incredible mentor. She does a really, really great job at allowing those connections to happen in her class. And I believe if she still does it, she did like an e-poll kind of almost like online meet and connect. So again, reading those emails and your professors, I think they know how to do this. They've been doing this remote stuff like pre-COVID. And so I think if you just kind of watch, you'll see that there's ample opportunities to meet and connect, whether remote or in person.
Thank you both for that. I also wanted to plug the Graduate Student Conference. It's available for all of our online students. Also takes place every spring. This year's will be the 15th annual. We actually had the co-chair on last month to share a bit about that. So if you're interested about that program, you can see the link that I put in the chat. And that's available for all of our graduate students, and the online students are welcome to come to that. Also, they've done a hybrid method, so some people will come to campus, but then there are also presentations and ways to engage in the online remote environment, no matter where you're at, which is great. Helps for participation for all of our online students. We had a question here about percentage of international students and those working outside the United States. I can just answer that because it's a fact-based question. So we have just over 25% of our students in our online programs are international, but it's like less than 5 that are outside of the United States while they're working on their program. Rosalie, I hope I got that correct or close enough.
Yes, thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much for having this. I feel really grateful to be here. I just started my first class in the EDM program, and I was wondering and I'm really nervous. I'm a 3rd grade teacher, and right now full-time, and I was wondering if you had any advice to give me as I work full-time and I get my master's and do it online when I come home in the evening. Do you have any advice on how I can be as successful as possible?
I'm tired. I'm sorry. I am tired. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's work, you know.
Yes.
It's work. One of the things though that I have really found in how the courses are structured, first off, nobody is here to try and get you to fail. They are here to help you and to help you succeed. The last course I just took with Dr. Cope, we had a syllabus, we had deadlines and dates. They were fluctuating kinds of dates because they know that a lot of the people in the class are working full time. And so there's a lot of leeway and a lot of understanding. You can reach out to professors. I'll give another example. One of the classes I had, our group project was due, and 2 days before, person number 3 out of 3 people dropped out of our project 2 days before it was due. And we had all of this stuff to redo. And Dr. O was great at working with us and figuring out a solution. So I was panicking, but she was not, and she was very helpful. So I have not found a single professor yet that was not willing to work with us. And they know we're working, a lot of us, especially the online program. So accommodating.
Thank you, Stacy.
Riley, do you have anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I think maybe the most effective thing that I did for myself, I'm a mom of 3, and so how do you balance career and family and all of the things? And so I learned to do all of my work at night when I would put my son to bed, and then I would work, and I would force myself to work every evening for the same amount of time. I would set a timer, and if I wasn't doing homework, I would write drafts of my paper, or I would read, and I had a schedule that I stuck to religiously, and I actually have continued to do that, which I think has helped as far as continuing publishing and writing and thinking even post graduation. So I would say, like, find a schedule and just stick to it. And then I gave myself weekends, like no schoolwork, no, like those were my off days, so that I had that self-care time kind of built in. And then the week, I just knew, hey, I would stay up till midnight and just, from 8 to midnight, it was like go time. So I know probably if you're teaching, midnight is a little too late, but even if it's an hour, I think even if it's 30 minutes, any like consistent time that okay, nope, I got to do it. It's kind of just like working out, you just have to commit.
Thank you
Set a
so
time
much.
commit. Yeah, and I know that it was briefly mentioned, like about over 85% of our students are working full-time or working, in some capacity. So you're definitely not alone, and others who are watching this also, there are lots of people who are working in our programs, and our programs and the faculty, they're built for people who are, working and doing multiple things at the same time, whether that is a job or a family and school. So Mary, I see you have a hand raised.
I just wanted to echo that I'm also a first grade teacher, so I can understand like how overstimulating the primary care to education day is, and then coming home and like I'm in 2 classes right now, so it's overload. And I've started saying no to other things. Like if I live in Chicago, I live downtown, and so there's constantly people meeting up after work to do fun things, and I've just found the discipline to start saying no so I can focus on school. And like I think turning that off in my brain has made it a lot easier for me. It's like not personal. I have school. I can't. And just like dedicating the time. I just sit down at my computer pretty much every night, but it works. So, but I do get it. It's exhausting.
Thank you. I've been doing the same thing.
One other thing, the way that the program is set up too, you're taking like, at least I was, Marley sounds like she was superwoman and went berserk during the pandemic, but no, okay. But I'm taking like 2 courses a semester, and they're set up in 8-week segments. So you have A and B within the semester, so you only have 1 course. The other thing that I did early on, because I was traveling even more, like I traveled to the Philippines, I traveled to Romania, I traveled far places. And so that was kind of why I started my master track and the certificate program, because I could take those a little bit slower, but they all transferred into my degree. So I was able to make sure that that was part of my goal. It just worked for my career at that time and how I could move things around and take off when I needed to, and focus more on my career versus school at that time. So it was a very flexible program as well.
And I think I just want to remind everyone, like, if 1 class is what works for you, if you start taking 2 and you're like, oh, this is too much, it is okay to take 1. It is okay to move at whatever pace you need to move. I like to work fast. I'm kind of like, I want to get it done when I'm focused on something. And again, I had the ability at that time to do that. I couldn't do that now. So I think do what works for you. Don't burn yourself out. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you both for that. And I want to add that we also have our staff and online programs. If you have questions or want to talk to us, I know Brianna Davis, our online student advisor, is available. I'm also, can be available, and we're here to help, and you all got this. Mary, did you have another question, or is your hand shut? Oh, okay, no problem. I just wanted to make sure. Any other questions? Okay, well, while folks are thinking before anybody takes off, and folks, we still have some time here, feel free to ask some questions. I just want to ask one question, get feedback on how things have been so far for everybody. I really appreciate that feedback. But yeah, and I see, folks are talking about coursework and things like that in the program. And yeah, we, typically recommend, starting off with, one course at a time. Like Stacey was saying, sometimes people do different things. Sometimes life forces your hand on some situations. But yeah, a lot of times students will take like one class every 8 weeks. Sometimes they, start off that way, they bump it up a little bit more, then sometimes they bump it down. We've had people that'll take one class in a semester and then they'll take, part of term B off and then keep on each semester. And again, while folks are thinking, if you have questions, you're watching this back later, you think of things otherwise, you can reach out to us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu. We're happy to answer any of those questions, help make any connections with any of our panelists. If you'd like to reach out to them, we can help facilitate that. All right. Well, it doesn't seem like we have any other questions. I'll toss it back to our panelists for like one last piece of wisdom or just thanks or anything like that before we sign off and wish everybody a great rest of their day.
Thank you, ladies, for attending. We appreciate all of your help.
Thanks so much for having us. And I put my email in the chat if anyone has any questions that you think of after, you just need some support at some point through this program. You're in a phenomenal program with phenomenal professors, and you're going to do great. And I think you will walk away and have a great experience.
Echo those sentiments, definitely. It's doable. All of you that I was scared, but it's doable. You can do it.
Yeah. Just like they said, you all can do it. All the faculty that you worked with, they've done it. There's lots of people that have done it before you and lots of people that are here to support you in your programs. So please, if you're interested in our programs or learning more or currently enrolled in our programs and have questions or need some support, we're here to help you and you got this. But want to again thank both of our panelists this evening. It was great to hear from you both. Thanks for sharing your insights about yourselves so that we could learn a little bit more about you and your times as students and in your careers and sharing that wisdom with others. So I just want to thank everybody again and wish everybody a great rest of their day, no matter where you're at.
Thank you all.
Take care, everyone.